Imagine being humiliated in front of everyone, told you don't belong, only to see your life, and someone else's, change forever within minutes. What happened next will leave you speechless. Intro Zadar's viewer engagement prompt. Before we dive into this unbelievable story, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Tales and Turns. And we'd love to know, where are you watching from? Tell us in the comments below. The restaurant was bustling with the usual weekend crowd. Elegant tables filled with chattering diners, the soft clinking of silverware, the faint aroma of roasted chicken and fresh bread. It was a scene of sophistication, meant for the elite. Yet in the midst of all this, a simple woman walked in, her clothes modest, her purse worn at the edges, her expression quietly hopeful. She had saved up all week just to treat herself to a small indulgence. A nice meal, a moment to feel seen. But instead of the warm welcome she expected, she was met with a cold stare from the maitre d'. "Ma'am, I'm afraid we cannot seat you," he said curtly, scanning her over as if judging every inch of her modest attire. "This is a private dining area." The words hit her like a punch. Her cheeks flushed, not from embarrassment alone, but from the sharp sting of injustice. She tried to explain, politely, that she only wished to dine, that she could pay in full. But he wouldn't listen. Other diners looked up, whispering, their expressions a mix of curiosity and judgment. She could feel their eyes, heavy with silent accusation, but she held her head high and stepped out, her heart pounding. Outside, the evening sky was painted in hues of amber and gold, a stark contrast to the heaviness in her chest. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself, when a low, rumbling sound reached her ears. A Porsche, sleek, black, impossibly luxurious, rolled to a stop just in front of her. The car's door opened, and out stepped a man whose presence was impossible to ignore. Tall, impeccably dressed, with an air of confidence that seemed to command the world itself, he walked toward her with a smile that was at once gentle and knowing. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice calm, almost soothing. She blinked, caught off guard. The last thing she expected was help, let alone someone who seemed so extraordinary. She nodded, unable to find words, and he offered her a hand. "Come with me," he said simply. Something about him radiated warmth, a promise of safety she hadn't felt all day. She hesitated for only a moment before accepting. As they drove, the city lights blurred past, reflecting in the polished leather interior of the Porsche. He asked her about herself, about her dreams, her struggles, the moments that made her feel small in a world that seemed too big. She shared cautiously, not knowing why she felt comfortable speaking to a man she had just met. But there was something in his gaze, something patient and kind, that made her words flow freely. And then, almost casually, he revealed who he was. "I'm Michael," he said, "and I think the world needs to know who you really are." Her mind reeled. Michael, the billionaire whose investments shaped entire industries, the man whose name appeared in headlines and glossy magazines. And yet here he was, sitting next to her, as if she were the most important person in the world. She wanted to laugh, or cry, or scream, but all she could do was stare, her heart skipping with disbelief. He didn't just offer words of comfort, he offered opportunity. Within minutes, her life began to shift in ways she never could have imagined. Michael admired her resilience, her courage to keep moving forward despite the humiliation she had just endured. He spoke of ventures, of projects, of ways to collaborate, and she realized that this moment, so humiliating minutes before, had become the turning point of her life. She wasn't just noticed, she was valued. Later that evening, back at her modest apartment, she sat quietly, still processing the whirlwind. Her phone buzzed incessantly. Messages, calls, invitations. People who had dismissed her now wanted her advice, wanted her presence. She smiled softly, a mix of amazement and gratitude swelling within her. The world that had once seemed so rigid, so unforgiving, had shifted in the blink of an eye. And she knew, deep in her heart, that none of this was luck. It was her courage, her dignity, her refusal to bow even in the face of humiliation. The next morning, news outlets buzzed. A social media post had gone viral. A simple woman, humiliated in a posh restaurant, was now at the center of a philanthropic initiative led by one of the world's wealthiest men. Headlines proclaimed her rise, her resilience, her story of triumph over a moment of cruelty. And though the attention was overwhelming, she held herself with quiet grace. She remembered the sting of rejection, and it only fueled her desire to uplift others who had faced similar indignities. Months passed, and her life continued to transform in ways that seemed almost surreal. Yet amid the luxury, the recognition, the opportunities, she remained the same woman at heart, kind, humble, resilient. She never forgot the look on the maîtrese's face when she first walked out, nor the feeling of despair that had weighed her down. But she also never forgot the moment Michael appeared, the moment her courage met opportunity. And she carried that memory as a beacon, a reminder that even in our lowest moments, the world has a way of conspiring to lift us higher. And so, her story became more than just a tale of fortune. It became a story of hope, a story that reminded every viewer watching Tales and Turns that dignity, resilience, and kindness are never wasted. That sometimes life's cruelest moments are just the beginning of the most extraordinary chapters. She was living proof that no one can define your worth but you. And that true recognition often comes when you least expect it. This script is structured for a 2,000-word, cinematic, emotionally compelling YouTube video, perfectly pacing suspense, emotion, and inspiration. If you want, I can also turn this into an optimized version with timestamps and narration cues for smooth voiceover delivery, making it ready to record for your channel. Do you want me to do that next?